Yo guys, what's up? It's your boy TRUEDBZ back with another video. In today's video, I will be discussing Ferry's new changes in the latest patch of 1.50 for Granblue Fantasy vs Rising, with the addition of playing a couple of online matches just to get a little bit of experience with the new Ferry and see how I actually feel about these changes, because these past couple days have been a bit rough for Ferry players. But before we get into today's discussion and matches, please hit the like and subscribe button at the end of the video if you enjoyed. It does wonders for the channel and helps me stay motivated to create more content like this. Also, be sure to check out my links below. In the description are my links to my socials, including my new Discord server, the True Community, my channel artist page on Twitter and TikTok where he posts his artworks and commissions, and my playlists are there as well to provide you with more of my content. With all that out of the way, let's get into today's discussion and matches. Alright guys, so the newest patch of Granblue Fantasy vs Rising is here. As you can see, the newest DLC character, Versusia, is here, which also means that the new patch notes, or just the patch in general, is out for the game. A lot of characters got buffs, some got nerfs, and Ferry got a little bit of both in this patch for some reason, but I won't dwell on that right now. But let's talk about the facts instead of my opinion. So firstly, I'm going to be talking about system-wide mechanics because the system changes do affect Ferry in very crucial ways. So I feel like covering the system mechanics in this video when it pertains to Ferry is very important. And then I'll go over Ferry specific changes, and then I'll do like my overall, and then we'll get into some matches. So yeah, let's get into the system changes. So the first system-wide change is to -L or 66L, which is this guy right here. So the first change that they did is that -L can be cancelled into close standing medium for all characters, allowing them to combo way more easily. So as you can see, Ferry can just go immediately into a combo from 66L. As you can see, Ferry kind of had this in the previous version, but she can only get this if the opponent was crouch blocking or got hit while crouching. But now she can just combo straight into her close medium, and this is once again universal to all characters. So this is a really good change because in most cases Ferry could really only do like far light into critical forward light to get a combo from dash light, but now she can just go straight into close medium. To also compensate for this new buff to everybody in the cast, if you start a combo with -L, then the combo will scale by 70%. So everybody will do less damage when doing -L starting combos. It's only if you start the combo with -L. If you do it like, for instance, Ferry can do counter hit close heavy into dash. That won't scale, but if you start, then it scales. So it doesn't apply when mid combo, but it does apply, you know, when it's the combo starter. Alright, the next system-wide change is to jumping attacks. So whenever performing a jump attack while ascending, the combo that you get afterward will scale by 60%. So Ferry was one of the only characters that could really take advantage of her jumping light attack. Because it enabled like her 50/50s with like GG and stuff like that. But apparently they thought it was way too strong, so they just nerfed the scaling. So now whenever Ferry gets the GG mix-up, now she does far less damage. Like that combo in the previous version would have done at least like 3,400, probably around there, and now we're down to 2,700. So you know, this was a major nerf to the character. Apparently, like other characters like Zeta and I think Beelzebub could do mix-ups like this, but like they weren't. I wouldn't say they weren't mix-up characters because they definitely had like a good amount of mix-ups to them, but they weren't like mix-up characters like Ferry was. And I feel like this change affects Ferry more than other characters that had this type of mix-up, like Zeta and Beelzebub. And so this was just a major nerf to the character. Honestly, I don't think this was needed because, like, once again, the fact that only, like, 3, maybe 4 characters could do this type of mix-up and get some sort of reward from it and they just made a system-wide change to where like nobody can get good stuff from this anymore. So it affects Ferry far more than the other characters, which is why this is such a big deal. But once again, this is a system-wide change, so if any character coming after them has this type of mix-up, they will be scaled heavily as well. So yeah, this was a huge blow to Ferry. So the next system-wide change is to Raging Strike. So this one is any raging chain performed after the second hit of a combo now has 50% scaling. So a lot of times in a previous version, most characters would do like mash 2L or like mash 2L into 5L and then like hit confirm it into Raging Strike. Well, now if you do that, your combo scales by 50%. So for example, sometimes Ferry would do something like this, like 2L into Raging Strike. But now your combo scales a lot more heavy, as you can see. So, you know, that's a nerf to Ferry, but most of the time, you know, you would be confirming into like Critical Forward Light or Critical Forward Heavy or something like that. You really only did it for like sweep, and this doesn't seem to have changed scaling that much. I think it's pretty much the same. So, you know, most of the time Ferries would just do sweep in the Raging Chain, and that hasn't changed. So it's a nerf, but not a nerf that's like crucial or anything. Alright, the next system-wide change is to ultimate skills. So Critical Forward U, Critical Back U, 2-2 U, all the U skills. If it's used to start a combo, then it will have 70% scaling on any follow-up attack. So for example, one of the main ways you would use Ferry's ultra skills is Critical Back and then like get a combo off of it. Now it does less damage, as you can see. So it does less damage now. And also, whenever you do use an ultimate skill, you gain less meter back whenever you combo. So this part really isn't a nerf to Ferry because her combos are very short, so she didn't really build that much meter off of her combos. But like, I guess for other characters like Zeta or Belial, people that had like ultra skills that could do really long combos, well, I guess they won't be building meter from those. Next up is to Skybound Arts and Super Skybound Arts, which are the supers of the game. So for Ferry, it would be her ball super, it would be her install, and then it would be her ultimate super right here. So if you use these supers to start a combo, and you can combo after them, so for Ferry's case, it would be her ball super, most importantly, but also, you know, her install also has damage reduction, but I don't think it applies to her since it's an install, but it might. But anyway, if you start a combo with your super, then the combo will scale by 60%. And so, yeah, Ferry's damage off her ball super is lower, but we'll get into her ball changes later on. But it's kind of like it's a nerf, most definitely. But the changes they made to her ball super kind of makes up for it. But we'll have to see. There are some interesting things you can do with her ball super now. But yeah, that's it for her supers. And then the last thing is not really a thing for Ferry specifically, but like if you use the block button and you press a button while blocking, it will prioritize the attack instead of the block button. So I guess there was like a way to like OS or option select like defensive mashing through the block button, and they just got rid of it. So now you can't hold the block button and mash and still be blocking, you know. Now it prioritizes the actual attack, which is a good change. I never ran into this issue before, so I guess it's just a quality of life thing that they felt was an issue, and I guess I just never saw it. Alright, that's it for all these system-wide changes. So overall, system mechanics-wide, Ferry got nerfed way more than she got buffed. Obviously, the 6-6L into close medium was a buff for Ferry, but literally everything else in these things nerfed the character. Which, I mean, to be honest, the system-wide changes nerfed everybody in the cast. Like, obviously, the damage scaling you know, to a majority of the characters, like really good moves, definitely affects the game a lot. But for Ferry, you know, getting nerfed to her jumping light attack was a very huge deal. Like that was basically how she was able to, you know, really mess people up, is, you know, getting the mix up and just hitting them with the overhead or hitting them with low. It's just like, you know, now she doesn't really get that much damage anymore. But, you know, hopefully she got buffed in other ways to make up for it. Right, guys? Right? Let's just go to Ferry specific changes. Alright, going on to Ferry specific changes. So in this portion, it's very complicated. Ferry got buffed and nerfed simultaneously, and honestly, it's I don't know. We'll go through it, and then I'll discuss my overall thoughts afterwards. But her first critical changes are to her far medium and then far heavy. They can now both be blocked mid-air. So as you can see, Versusia is blocking my far medium in the air, and the same goes for my far heavy. Back in the original, or back in the last patch, these were air unblockable, and now they're air blockable now. So this is a major nerf to her anti-air zoning, I guess. She was never really good at anti-airing to begin with, because like all of her anti-air buttons are like very specific. Like this only hits at a very specific range. Her close medium only hits like directly over top of her head. So the opponent has to be like really neck deep in for you to even hit them. And then sometimes they would clash, and it just wasn't a good anti-air. Her DPs obviously cover different ranges, so there aren't really a universal answer to anti-airs. You kind of just have to pick one and be right. So her anti-air game isn't really the strongest, probably might be some of the worst in the game, at least when it comes to her buttons. Her DPs are actually pretty decent anti-airs. You just gotta know how, you know, where your opponent is jumping. And obviously heavy and then ultimate DP are air unblockable. So, you know, special move wise, her anti-airs aren't terrible, but button wise, she really doesn't have really that many options. And the fact that they took the anti-air properties away from these moves definitely hurt the character a lot. Like, it's probably going to be so easy to jump in on this character, but I guess we'll see going into the future. Alright, the next change is to dash medium, so 6-6 medium. So what they did is the travel speed and the distance has been increased. So I think it's only slightly increased though. I don't really see a big difference. Like, she reaches the opponent in three of these moves, I guess. Before it was 4 of these, I guess. So I guess it's fine. You know, the frame data still hasn't changed. It's still punishable on block unless you're like really spaced it out. So I guess like the distance and the travel speed matters in that case, because you can just use it from far away and then be even more safe. So if we do it like back here, like I'm -3 here. Like most characters, like there's no character that's punishing me here. But if I do it like up close, then I'm -6. So the travel speed and distance definitely helps with the, you know, more RPS-y, you know, way of using this move at a far distance. So I think it's more of like a neutral change. I don't think it's directly a buff, because, you know, on hit she doesn't get anything. She doesn't get anything, and then on block she's still minus. So it's like, you know, it's kind of a neutral change. Next up is dash heavy, which is this right here. So recovery has been increased from -3 to -8. So now she is just very punishable. Like probably a lot of mediums from like rushdown characters can hit her. Most far lights can hit her at this range. So like, yeah, they nerfed the hell out of this move. Now to compensate, I guess, is that now she can actually combo off of it without the opponent being in a counter hit state. But the only thing you can get is far light into quadruple forward light, or 2L, which she already had with counter hit. Let me see if I can get it. The timing is also very weird. Like it's not a generous amount of time to combo. So it's like, this is just a straight up nerf. I don't think this was worth it, honestly. If you were going to nerf it by making it so hittable, like, firstly, you have to make this way easier to combo into, because the timing on this is very weird. Like, you have to hit so late into this, and then sometimes, like, you get 2L even though you don't want to. Like if you were gonna make it so negative on block, at least make it easy to combo off of. Like, the timing on this is so strange. Like, it's so weird. So this is honestly just a straight up nerf in my opinion. I don't think it was worth it, like, at all. On counter hit, the bounce is slightly higher, so you can do something like this and get a better combo. So that's something, I guess, but like, overall, this is pretty much a nerf. I don't think it was worth it. Alright, so the next change is to Quarter Circle Forward Light, which is this guy right here. So first up is the pull range has been slightly shortened. So this is very significant because now she can't really combo off a far light at the tip anymore. You have to be pretty deep to get this to combo now. So that was a significant change. Now you really can't, like, use this to poke, you know, unless you're like right here. So that's a really big nerf. But I guess to compensate now, when you do this, when you do heal, it'll actually pull the opponent behind you, and this actually works if you're in the corner, as you can see. So now you can immediately start your offense if you're cornered. So that's a decent buff. Honestly, I think that was probably a change I wasn't expecting, but honestly a very significant one. But the fact that, you know, you have to be way more aware of your pokes now, I guess, I don't know. This is a very, once again, a very neutral change. Like, it's a buff and a nerf, but I think overall it's a buff because it was kind of hard for Ferry to get out of the corner in most instances. So the fact that you can just like mash 2L, get a very basic combo, and now they're in the corner is really good. But overall, I feel like if they didn't shorten this distance, it wouldn't have made this move broken or anything. I don't know why they nerfed it, but I guess the developers thought this was too strong on its own and they had to nerf it. I don't know. Alright, next up is Corsical Forward Medium, which is this one right here. So what they did was, actually, this just got a straight up buff. So first off, the startup has been reduced to 29 frames instead of it being 32, so now this is faster. So this would be a lot easier to snipe people in neutral, and also just easier in combos. So like, for example, if you're doing something like you're anti-airing with 2H, now it's a lot faster. So now you don't have to worry about timing, you can just do the move. In addition, Corsical Forward Medium can now be charged for a maximum of 44 frames. So this is the regular version. Which is at 29 frames, and then this is the held down version. So obviously you can hold it down and then just release it. I don't think you can alternate. I think it's just one or the other. No, you can alternate. Yeah, you can let it go whenever you want within that 44 frames. Okay. So yeah, so this is a really good buff. Once again, this is a change that I actually wanted in my video. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I did a video on what they could change about Ferry to make her really good, not top tier. And this was one of the changes, is make her be able to charge this. So if your opponent is very keen on rolling you or spot dodging, you can just hold it and then, you know, snatch them up and get a combo. So this was a change that I actually really wanted, and I'm glad that they actually implemented this, because this is a really cool change. Probably Ferry's first like buff in this entire list. So it should be only thumbs up from here. Next is Corsical Forward Heavy, so this guy. So what they changed about this is that the launch height has been increased, making combos easier. So in the previous version, the only way you can combo off of Heavy was to do a light attack or a crouching light attack, as you can see. But now, since they increased the height on the pull, now you can do close medium, and so now your combos will do more damage. So that's a good change. And then now Ferry can actually combo her critical forward heavy from full screen now, as you can see. In the previous version she couldn't get any combo at all, but now she can get a combo. So honestly, this was another change that I said in my video, like make her be able to combo off of this anywhere, because if I'm spending a cooldown in order to get this move out and it clashes with projectiles, like I want it to be, you know, rewarded for me actually snacking people. So another great change, another great change. Alright, next is critical forward U, which is the ultimate version of her projectile. So what they did is increase the pull strength on block. So now the opponent will actually come further towards you than in the previous version. I think full screen, I think it's actually the same as it was in the previous version. It's around the same. But if you're like relatively close to the opponent, like they're like right in your face for like throw range. So like you can do something like this, you know, get a strike throw, or just go straight to close heavy and then strike throw. So I don't know, I wish the pull was a lot stronger full screen. Like I wish they were like right in front of your face, because this is very reactable, like very reactable because of the screen freeze. So the fact that it doesn't pull the opponent like right in front of your face like at all ranges is honestly kind of silly to me, especially since, you know, the only thing you can get from Ferry at full range is far normals, and like, you know, it's more of a matchup thing. If you know how Ferry plays, most players are not gonna mash on this thing. Like most players aren't. So it's a buff, but like a very niche specific buff. Alright, next is the buff to light and medium Beppo, or her anti-airs. So what they did is that the knockback on block in the air has been increased. So if you block this in the air, the opponent will be sent farther away from Ferry. So this is another really good change. This is something I didn't expect them to change about her anti-airs. I honestly didn't think she needed buffs on these, honestly. But, you know, this is actually a really good buff, because as Ferry with very interesting anti-air options, just being able to, you know, get opponents farther away from you as a zoning character is just really good. So, you know, a relatively good change. I can see this being more useful in more specific matchups as more than like a universal buff, but you know, it's good to have. It's good to have. Okay, so next is critical back medium, which is this guy right here. So what they did is that they reduced the startup from 24 to 21, and that's all. So what I understand is that this buff was to make frame trapping easier. So I have the opponent to mash after a close heavy, and here they are getting counter hit. If I do something like this, like auto combo, they'll get hit by it as well. So, and then you can also, it wall bounces on counter hit. So overall, a really good buff. I think it might be better against crossover or roll. As you can see, like sometimes, like if the opponent like dodged like really early, right, something like that, if the opponent did that really early, they would actually fully go through Ferry's like critical back and be completely, either be able to block or just get out of the scenario. But with it being faster, it'll just be a lot easier to catch people whenever they roll through you. And yeah. Next is the change to 214U, which is this guy right here. So the change that they did to this move is increase the pull range of the move. So in the last patch, it basically whiffed at round start, but now it reaches at round start. So basically, it's just a lot better. It's just a lot better. Like look how far it pulls the opponent towards you. Obviously, it's not like full screen or anything, but it's like around round start. So like pretty decent. It is safe on block as well. So another straight up buff, but also another like kind of like eh. But there is something that you can do now. If you, because of the pull range is increased, you can actually unblockable people if they block your 2H. So like now the punish is even better because of the pull range and just how big it is. So like now it's just even more easy. It's just more easy to unblockable people. Like if you don't have like DP available, or like it doesn't like reach that far, you just have this as an option. Obviously, you know, mileage may vary, but you know, it's still a decent enough change. Alright, next up is Medium GG, which is this guy right here. So they basically made Medium GG full screen instead of 3/4 of the screen. So now GG will actually go all the way to the other side of the screen. This is kind of like a buff and a nerf, because against zoners, this is really good because it forces them to like actually get closer to Ferry, where her normals can actually, you know, start being a threat. It doesn't really do anything against rushdown characters because they will just run through GG, Medium GG, so this really doesn't really matter. Once again, it's kind of a buff and a nerf because it's so matchup dependent that like I can't really say in good confidence that this is like a purely buff to GG, because like one of the biggest reasons why Medium GG was good in neutral is because it spawned right in front of the opponent. And so for rushdown characters that, you know, actually beat Ferry, it was very risky for them to run up on GG, because if they mistimed it, they would get hit by GG. And then I could, you know, follow up with like a button or this. But now since GG is full screen, the rushdown character can just jump over GG or just run straight through it. And so like, this is really only a buff against other zoners, but like, most of the cast are strike throw rushdown characters, so like this is kind of like a neutral to nerf change, so it really doesn't do anything, honestly. Alright, next up is UGG, which is this guy right here. So what they did is that they increased the launch height and reduced the knockback. And so basically what this does is just make combos easier for Ferry to do off of UGG. Once again, you know, the universal change to use skills being the start of a combo, obviously Ferry's not going to get a lot, you know, of damage off of UGG, but I guess it's nice. It's really good against rushdown characters, like if they're running across the floor, you can just toss this out, and if they get hit, you know, it's a lot easier to confirm off this. So this is just a straight up buff, but once again, the system nerfs to it is like, you don't really get that great of reward from it, you know. It's not too terribly great, but you know, it's still a buff. It's still a buff. Alright, down to the last 3 changes. First up, we have 5U, which is this right here. So what they did is they actually made this move plus on block. So before it used to be -2, now it is +3. The issue is that, number one, this move is relatively easy to roll. It is 17 frames, which is unreactable, but if you're using this move, it's kind of like, you know, it's very niche, right? So you'll be able to catch people, but if you use it too much, then the opponent can just roll through it and punish you. The other issue is that they still haven't fixed the issue where on hit, it basically gives you nothing and the damage is pretty poor. Like, it's comparable. It does less damage than my grab. Like, you know, the fact that it doesn't wall bounce on counter hit or something, it's kind of wild. So like, yeah, it might be +3 on block, but like the only thing, and also because you get pushed back, you're not in front of your opponent, you know. So it's like the only thing you can get is far light. So it's like, it's kind of a neutral change once again, because you're plus, but you're so far away that it's kind of like not a threat. So it's like, I don't know. This is a neutral change. This is a very neutral change. Alright, now for the big change. So her super, which is Corsical Forward R1 or Corsical Forward, I think U or something like that. Anyway, her ball super. So what they did to her ball super is that they increased the hit count on block and on hit from 5 to 8, so you get an additional 3 extra hits. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second. You get an additional 3 extra hits on block and on hit. So basically what this means is that it's just a lot easier to use in block strings. So for example, if you do something like this into like super, this is a true string by the way, so if you do jumping light, then you can get a combo a lot more easier. Oops. As you can see, I can get a way easier combo. But what this also does, once again, it applies on hit as well. Her combos off of super is, even though it does the same amount of damage, they did say that the damage hasn't changed. So the damage is still the same, but as you can see, like with the additional hits, she can do a lot more better conversions off of it. Let me see if I can actually pull it off. Oops. So once again, yeah, so you guys get the idea. Like, she has more hits to do more combos. And so the fact that, you know, if you start this, as you can see, yeah. And it also, and once again, once again, because it has so many hits, you know, if you miss a hit, like if you get 7 hits instead of the 8, the ball will stay on screen until the opponent either blocks the move or it just dissipates after a certain amount of time. So the fact that, you know, in that scenario, I did the combo short, so the ball stayed on for a couple more frames. So like if the opponent went to mash, immediately on wake up, they'll get hit by it. So this is probably like Ferry's biggest buff in the entire of her notes, outside of maybe this one, because this was like such a crucial change to her neutral. But this is probably like her strongest, like her second strongest buff, because like the amount of like combos you can do now with this ball super is just really good. So like, good job guys, you actually did a buff that was actually, you know, really unique and different and good. The last change is to her install, which is this move right here. Probably the biggest disappointment out of all of her patch notes. This basically does nothing. Like, but I will read it to you. So whenever you're in install, her 20% damage reduction doesn't apply to normal throws, Raging Chain, or Raging Strike. Obviously, if you're in install, you don't have meter. So if I put my meter down to normal, like I can't use Raging Chain to combo. So like this is a nothing change. And then also Brave counters, but once again, if you're an install, you're pretty much not at a disadvantage. You know, you're pretty much like, you're an install now. Like you're either using it in neutral for pokes or like for knockdown. For like knockdown situations, you go straight into it and then like you do something like this, right? So like it's a nothing change. Like the only thing that kind of works is the damage from throw, but if you're an install, she doesn't really have any cancel options. So like being able to cancel, like damage from throws don't really matter in this case. Like this was probably like the worst change in all of her patch notes, because it's not even a neutral change. It's not even a nerf. It's just like a bad change. It's just bad. Like it does nothing for the character. Like it does nothing. Okay, with all that being said, my final thoughts on the patch notes themselves, and then we'll get into some matches. So, final thoughts. Honestly, Ferry got, I don't want to say she got mega nerfed, because there are a lot of good stuff here. Like, obviously, the changes to her critical forward moves are very well appreciated. The change to this, because, you know, roll was such a counter to this move. Now, because it's faster, it'll catch rolls now. Ultimate GG is a lot better now. So like there are some really good stuff here, but like the nerf, the system-wide nerf to her jumping L, the system-wide nerf to her super, the fact that her install basically does nothing, this move basically doing nothing. Like there's such a bunch of neutral nothing changes to Ferry that it's like I can't really confidently say that she got the changes that she needed. Wholesomely, I should say. Like she got changes that she needed, like this stuff. Like once again, these changes are really good. I even said in my video that these are crucial. Like these things need to change. So it's not like Ferry got nothing, but she also didn't get anything to like compete with the rest of the cast, because a lot of other characters got buffed, Belial, and are in a way better position than her now. And honestly, she might actually be the worst character in the game. Now, I know I said in my videos and on streams that she was bottom 1, but honestly, like, she had a pretty good matchup against Ladiva. She had a decent matchup against, like, other characters like Ladiva, but, like, Ladiva got majorly buffed. Other characters like Vayne, who had a pretty neutral matchup against Ferry, got really buffed in this patch. So, like, all of her like neutral to good matchups, and some of even her bad, even some of her good matchups, just got far worse. So it's like she actually might be the worst character in the entire game. Once again, we'll have to see how things shape up, but I honestly would not be surprised if she is the worst character in the entire game. But let's play some matches, and then we'll talk about my final thoughts after we get some actual matches in and play this new version of Ferry. So I'll be back with our matches.
Ferry versus Versusia. Believe in victory. Battle 1. Engage.
Over here. Fearless.
Rage.
Healed. Watch your feet. Here it goes. Okay, your turn.
Great.
Get him good. Well,
Great.
watch them. Trail. Keep pushing. Eat this.
Down.
Let's rethink our strategy.
Your pick.
Battle 2. Engage.
Do it, Nicola. Easy. Predictable.
Fade. Anitia.
Up here. Do it, Nicola. Easy. Okay, your turn. Walk some.
Unwind.
Great. Great. Finish.
Normally I'd say it's too soon to get a post, but a break never hurts.
You belong.
Believe in victory. Battle 1. Engage.
Fade.
Excellent. Great.
That's all.
Here I go.
Down.
He wasn't strong enough.
Battle 2. Engage.
Give it. Fade.
Walk them. Here I go.
That's all.
Great.
Give it. Focus.
Great.
Okay, your turn. Take it. That's do it, Nicola. Here.
Anitia.
Right over. Walk them.
Great.
Get ready. Watch yourself. Asset. Get ready. Walk them. Good job.
Great.
Well struck.
Great.
Well struck.
Excellent.
Finish. You were nipping at their heels.
You belong.
Versusia versus Ferry.
Guys, I know you must
Believe in victory. Battle 1. Engage.
Stay back. And that all. Unmute.
Nice try.
Stand solid.
Want some? Get him good.
Great.
Stand solid.
Great.
Stay back.
Great.
Here I go. Get him good.
What
Excellent.
not by my law. As all things were conceived before.
Down.
How?
I offer divine.
Battle 2. Engage.
Denied.
Want some?
Frail. Stand solid. Well strung.
Give up.
No glory. What
Great.
stand solid.
Watch yourself.
Great. Excellent. Finish.
Replays help you pinpoint the moment things started to go downhill.
Broken already. You belong.
Believe in victory. Battle 1. Engage.
And destruction.
Over here. Beppo.
Great.
And
Okay, your turn. Get that judgment.
Excellent.
Feel my wrath.
stand solid. Decay.
Over here.
Stand solid.
Great.
Beppo.
Great. Down.
The skies demand sacrifice.
Battle 2. Engage.
Over yet.
Away.
Great.
I have
There. Over here.
absurd.
Great. Great.
Until.
Don't get up. Be reborn. Watch yourself. There. Over here.
Great.
Thanks. Away. Decay. Stand solid.
All out. Take it.
Finish.
It all starts with that first victory. Only be a ghost.
Believe in victory. Battle 1. Engage.
Go. Give it. Stay back.
Great.
Decay.
Watch yourself. To the boy. Look, over here. Wide open. As if.
Decay.
Want some? Good job.
Great.
To give up. There. Don't get
Well
up.
stripped. What absurd.
Your turn, Momo.
Well strung.
Excellent.
You are denied.
Great.
Good job. Okay, your turn.
Excellent.
Want some? Good job.
Down.
The skies demand sacrifice.
Not on.
Battle 2. Engage.
No delay.
There.
And
Gucci.
what next?
Away.
Decay.
Want some?
That all.
Want some? Stay back. Feel all out. Up. Your salvation. Take it. Gucci. Get over here.
You are lost.
Great.
Bring them down. Watch your feet.
Pathetic.
Denied.
Great.
What
Excellent.
Down. As long as we're together, we can still win.
Battle 3. Engage.
What next? Stay back. Decay.
There!
Unwise.
Want some? There! There!
That all.
There!
Decay.
Great.
Stay back. Throughout.
Excellent. Great. Finish.
They read you like an open book. Sometimes those...
You belong.
Alright then guys, those are my matches. I'm sorry I didn't do any commentary, but my voice actually started to hurt while I was recording the matches. But yeah, so I guess that wasn't a clear representation of Ferry's like actual strength, because I was fighting, you know, Versusia, literally the first character, literally the newest DLC character and the first character I fought today. So like obviously I wasn't gonna do great against like a brand new character I've never played up against. But even then, there are some things that I did notice. Number one, you know, having access to this like really helped out. Like I think in the last match, like I was able to snipe, you know, the opponent and actually get a combo. Like that's really good. The speed of this actually didn't matter. I don't think I used a charged version because honestly against Versusia you don't want to be standing in place for too long, which is why I really didn't, you know, take advantage of it. The light version, you could definitely tell it got nerfed. You could definitely tell. Obviously the heal was a really good buff, but you could tell that at certain ranges, like Ferry would have been able to hit the opponent, and like you can just tell. Like there were so many times where like I did this and like it didn't work, or I did this and it didn't work. Like there were just so many times where it just didn't work. Like, oh my god. Other things, obviously her super got buffed. I only used it a couple times. There were a couple times where I did install it by accident. That was just my bad. I was just trying to use ball super, but obviously to change the ball super was good. I didn't use this because it does nothing, so I didn't even bother using it. And Versusia doesn't really need to jump on you, so I didn't really take advantage of, you know, the knockback. So once again, these changes are more matchup dependent than straight up buffs, and so like I can't say that Ferry's buffs were enough to compensate for the amount of nerfs that she got through the system and directly. You know, these being blockable now, her nerf to her damage, like nerf to her damage, like this character is fucking, you know, like she's bad. Okay, let's just point it out. She's bad. She's a bad character in this game. She's bad. Whether or not she's the worst character in the game remains to be seen, but in my honest opinion, she is. Like, at first, like I said, it was kind of a meme that she was like bottom 1, because obviously I knew La Diva was down there. I knew a couple other characters like Vayne was down there too, but now it's actually official. She's the worst character in the game. Obviously, once again, I'll have to play more and then get more familiar with her buffs and stuff like that. But even playing against Versusia, who I don't know anything about this character, but from my couple matches experience, she seems like the perfect character. She has zoning tools, she has a lariat to get in. There were many instances where I tried to mash and she was just plus, or like her buttons are just way bigger than mine. Like, she just seems like Ferry, but like better. Except for, you know, obviously at this point, currently Versusia doesn't really have access to like a mix-up like this. But like, when you have tools that Versusia has and that you guys saw in those matches, like, what else do you actually fucking need? Like, this character is so bad. They did not have to nerf Ferry like this. If they were gonna gut her damage to this significant degree, like, honestly, the amount of times that I actually hit Versusia and the low damage that I got, like, I could have killed Versusia like a couple times in those matches, but like, I just did so little damage, you know? It's like, I don't know. I don't know. Ferry always had low damage, but like, you can really tell now. So, final thoughts. Ferry's garbage. Worst character in the game. If you play Ferry like I do, you're a fucking idiot. Play somebody else. And, yeah. Sorry, like, this last part is really negative. It's just like, they gutted my fucking character, and now I have to play other characters that I either don't like or aren't heavily invested in. So, we'll have to see. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know this is a rather long video for a gameplay video or a discussion video, but you know, combining the two into one was probably not the greatest idea, but I thought I'd do it just to save me time. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this in the future. Also, be sure to check out my links down below, including my Twitter, Discord, and playlists. And with all that being said, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you in the next video. Sayonara.